Dear colleagues, we continue our working day at Ukraine Crisis Media Center, and the topic of the next briefing is implementation of OSCE anti-trafficking commitments in Ukraine, and our speaker is Madina Jarbussynova, special representative and coordinator for combating trafficking in human beings, OSCE representative. Good afternoon, dear ladies and gentlemen. Good morning, dear participants and people who gathered at this press conference. I'm really glad that today we consider the issues of anti-trafficking in humans, and also OSCE pays great attention to this direction of work because we believe that this is one of the threats to security of citizens of OSCE countries. And in 2004, a special office was created to coordinate combating trafficking in human beings, and a special position of coordinator was established, and also a plan was adopted in order to counteract trafficking in human beings. Also, there were some additional changes introduced to the plan in 2008, and also in 2014. And I would like to focus on this because this was made at the initiative and under the leadership. And these changes were first discussed by Ukrainian representatives. It was done while Ukraine was presiding in the OSCE Europe. And Ukraine initiated changes to the plan of work, and these additions were introduced, and this was not a coincidence. It was the result of attention that is paid and was paid in the country to the issues of combating trafficking in human beings. And the office of the coordinator also had an important role in this. And from the moment of its establishment from 1999, it was one of the main directions of work and the sector that exists in the Office of Coordinator of Projects during the whole period is resultative, and it cooperates with bodies of power in Ukraine. And in Ukraine, some mechanisms were established, and also the bodies that are responsible for coordination of such work. These are the Ministry of Social Policy, and this is a result of such joint cooperation and the work of OSCE and official bodies. It is understandable that this became a focus of attention for international organizations and civil society organizations in Ukraine and official bodies, because problem really persists. There is a need to confirm that Ukraine, right after collapse of the Soviet Union, as many post-Soviet states, became a country, a source country, and there are people who are victims of trafficking. And a lot has been done, but I should say that measures that were taken are not enough in order to speak about good results. Despite all efforts that were made, Ukraine is the source country, transit country, and also country of destination for those who are in the hands of the traffickers. And during the last 2 years, the situation is like this, that crisis in Ukraine increased the number of people who are in the risk group and that are in the hands of people's traffickers. And I say this not just a statement. We get the information from NGOs and also official bodies confirm this. And also in the last 2 years, the number of people increased, those people who are the victims of trafficking inside the country. If before crisis we were speaking mainly about Ukrainian victims that were found abroad, now the number is increased by internal victims of trafficking. Moreover, the Ministry of Internal Affairs, police reveal, in accordance with their professional mandate, they reveal those who are the organizers of criminal activity. And OSCE, from the start of conflict in Ukraine and crisis, they decided to focus on this problem in order to prevent the increase in the number of people who are in the risk group. We mean large numbers of IDPs. And they had experience of crisis in other countries, crisis in other countries that are members of OSCE. And in the framework of our organization, we carried out a special conference, yearly conference, that gathers the representatives of state bodies and representatives of civil society organizations and many experts. And one of the topical themes of such an alliance was an issue of vulnerability of people who can become victims of this criminal traffickers. That those people who are in crisis, in the crisis zone. And the main discussion in the framework of that session was about the situation inside and around Ukraine. My office held this conference. We discussed recommendations. We shared these recommendations with the representatives of Ukraine. There were a lot of participants, and they contributed to the discussion of this issue. And also, we started active work, active cooperation with the representative of Ukraine, I mean government institutions and NGOs. So the work is carried out by the office, and also we added our own area and made contribution starting from 2014. You know, there is monitoring mission of OSCE. A lot of people are involved, and they have broad possibility to contact people who are in crisis situations, and it was important for us that observers were able to reveal those people who are in the risk group. And by establishing cooperation with the structures, they should timely inform in order to prevent further development of this criminal area. And we carried out training with the observers here, starting from 2014 here in Kiev, and also we traveled to adjacent to the line of contact oblasts. We visited last year Dnipropetrovsk, Kharkiv, and I met with many IDPs. We discussed their problems. I met with the representative of oblast and city administrations and the representatives of NGOs and other international organizations working in this area. And one of our main tasks is to train and to provide skills to people, and also to provide information about problems of trafficking in human beings. The information that is provided to our observers. They should establish contacts with the representatives of city and oblast administrations. Further on, we got a request from Dnipropetrovsk administration to hold a specific training for representatives of the administration, for social workers. This was training seminar for those who then were able to share this information. This is training for trainers. And the focus of attention was given to people who are in difficult psychological situation. Social workers have to deal with victims of violence. Mostly these are women, some household violence that also causes trafficking. And I'm here in Ukraine from Monday. We visited Kramatorsk, Kharkiv, and there we conducted work that I told you about, that we made last year. And each time we hear directly from those with whom we hold meetings, we hear some complaints. They tell us their acute problems, and yesterday and today here in Kiev I meet with representatives of the Ministry of Social Policy and Internal Affairs, representatives of National Police. I provide them with information that I got from IDPs and representatives of NGOs that for the long time have been working in the sphere of counteracting trafficking. The task of our organization is not to reveal some faults and make these faults public. The task of our organization is to reveal the problems, to help to cooperate, and of course taking into account that trafficking in human beings is a covert, hidden area, and not only post-Soviet countries, but no state in the world can declare that it is free from this problem and that the citizens of the country are protected from criminal groups. We pay more attention to those countries where there are roots, the sources that can cause trafficking in human beings. And during several years, migration crisis, flows of migrants to Europe show that there is a need to counteract more. And these migrants, they should not be the victims of trafficking. We should prevent this. And now, this is one of the main targets of many organizations, and OSCE also works in this area in order that migration crisis would not result in violations of peace and order and did not become threat to our countries. We work with the international organizations, and we remind that we should pay attention and carry out work to prevent trafficking in human beings and to provide help to victims. And we should also punish the criminals. And this work should be done in other regions where OSCE work. And Ukraine continues to be the focus of our attention. And I said that efforts are made. We have good contact between OSCE office and NGOs and state institutions, and it yields some results. If we compare the figures of 2014, 2015, and 2016, we may say that the number of people grew, those who are registered by the Ministry of Social Affairs as victims, and they are provided with help. Of course, the help, in my opinion, is not completely adequate in order that the victims could be reintegrated into society and that they are fully rehabilitated. This is one of the areas we work on, and a mechanism is created. It is called the mechanism of referral. And in Ukraine, this is not new. Office of OSCE at the end of 2013 carried out this work in 13 oblasts in order to create such a system. And this is a well-known system, and we understand that as of today, we are lacking human resources and financial resources as well. But I had a dialogue with the representatives of social policy yesterday, and I stressed several instances, and I showed them some areas where they should work more. And today I spoke with the representatives of national police about the need to carry out training and to provide education to the officers that are newly recruited and for those who were reappointed, and also the factors, to inform them about the factors of trafficking, because sometimes the investigation does not lead to the results that we expect. And today I was informed that now there is special department for combating trafficking in human beings, and the officers of this department, they review about 60 cases where were revealed traffickers, recruiters. But usually in the course of investigation, criminals, they are not punished enough because we work with the OSCE member states. We identify 4 main areas. This is preventive measures, preventive work that includes a large scope of work to carry out campaign and to educate people about it, to raise awareness among different groups of population, especially among the young people, about what is trafficking in human beings, what are the forms, and that a young person can easily become a victim and can easily, as they say usually, a person can become a modern slave. This can be sexual or labor exploitation. Also, there are cases when poverty pushes people to sell their internal organs. Children are also vulnerable. When we speak about trafficking, so that's why informing people is very important. While working in the conflict zone, we pay more attention to raise awareness among IDPs that are in uncommon situation. They search for opportunities to employ, and sometimes they get some suspicious things. And I would like to stress the role of mass media in this. Journalists, photo correspondents, who should be aware that there is such a threat to people and know about the forms. What are the indicators of this? That's why Office of Special Representative from Vienna and field missions, we call them our representative offices, we call them field missions. They are working with journalists and they hold special events, training to focus attention of the media to jointly fight trafficking in human beings. Other area is protection of victims. These areas were called of 4 Ps from first letter in Latin or English alphabet. Prevention, protection. Second area, the work we carry out together with the services of social assistance, with NGOs to provide help to victims of trafficking. The third area is prosecution. And the issue of fighting traffickers, to punish them appropriately, to see those financial flows, to reveal them, because it's not a secret for you that trafficking in people is one of the most profitable criminal businesses. In some sources of information, we can get the information that this is one of the businesses, as, for example, drug business and maybe trading in arms. So no matter what it is, but it is a very profitable business, and comparing with other businesses, it is also covert and maybe not so risky, because drug traffickers, they risk more, and the punishment for traffickers is not appropriate. That's why we work with law enforcement structures. We conduct trainings, and in November this year, we are going to hold a training session, and you can get information on our website. This is an opportunity for law enforcement bodies, prosecutors, judges, and social workers, not only to theoretically to get theoretical information, but also to take part in work that they should carry out professionally. We will hold this training in Italy this year and next year for all our OSCE member countries' representatives, and I will be glad to see the representatives of Ukraine in this simulated training. And also the fourth direction is, of course, partnership. And partnership, it involves partnership with government, NGO, with media, in order to reduce the threat that trafficking in human beings bring. Thank you for attention. We have several minutes, maybe questions or comments, please.
Kristina Chumakina, Ukraine Crisis Media Center. Can you give us more information about Ukraine? What is the region in Ukraine which experience most problems in human trafficking? The first question. The second is, do you cooperate with the new ministry on IDPs and veterans? I've already said that here in Ukraine we have the Office of Coordinator of OSCE projects, which since 1999 has been conducting many programmatic activities and have partnerships with almost all governmental agencies and NGOs on fulfillment by Ukraine of those obligations, commitments which the country have undertaken under international conventions. You know, there is UN Convention of 2000, and in the scope of our plan, OSCE plan, I've already said that we are not talking now. When we work with our partners, we do not indicate that we do not say our partners that you are doing something in their own manner and have a lot of shortcomings, and we are going to help you because of that, because our work is also prevention. Trafficking and anti-trafficking efforts is the line of activities of the United Nations, and assistance to victims is provided by IOM as well. International Organization of Migration has been working for a long time in cooperation with the OSCE office, and we have some territorial distribution between our organizations. In our work, we would like to perform efficiently and not to overlap with the efforts and projects with other organizations. For example, UN is planning a large global project on combating trafficking, and Ukraine has become one of the countries where this project will be conducted as well. And when this project was about to be developed, the UN office on combating organized crime, that office had a meeting with me that they are planning such a project and they want to have cooperation with us. Here you can see among our audience the representative of UN office. You know also that annually the report is published on anti-trafficking issued by U.S. Department of State. In this report, ranks are provided and the findings of evaluation on how the state works to combat this kind of crime. Those ranks and evaluation scores are provided in this report because I would like to tell you that there is ranking of such activities. If you are willing to see Ukrainian indicators according to the authors of this report, you can see there are also the problems which Ukraine experiences. You can look through the reports for recent several years. Those reports indicate that Ukraine should be in the focus of international bodies in this domain. Primarily governmental agencies of the country should should keep in mind that trafficking is one of the acute and urgent problems for the security situation in the country. They have so-called watch list where Ukraine during several years is on this watch list. But as I know the efforts Ukraine has been putting in this sphere, I would like you to understand that I know the efforts are put. You just should know the number of cases and problems and the crisis in the country. The country should put more efforts just because of this difficult situation, and not only in the area of conflict. Because if all attention will be paid to this territory, then the other regions where this problem also exists, in those regions the number of cases might rise and criminal groups may develop their activities there. So the efforts should be strengthened in general and mostly in detecting those criminal groups and their punishment. I've already said that during previous second years, the number of revealed victims and traffickers increased, but this is not enough. Moreover, I would like to report here that despite all complex problems and difficulties which we experience, the national plan, action plan on anti-trafficking for 2016-2020 has been adopted. The country has national body coordinating activities in this domain, and the funds are allocated in the national budget for the implementation of this action plan. This is not only my opinion. The government understands that the funds are not sufficient, but the fact that the allocation has been made in the budget indicate the political will to work in this area. I know other national action plans of other countries where such plans are not funded from the national budgets at all. That is why we tell, as usual, that the intentions is one thing and the implementation is the other thing. Thank you very much for your speech.